Welcome back to the class, everyone. I'm very pleased to announce that not only did we get a road ahead today, but in addition to that, we are essentially receiving the death of all useless characters with the final edition of Princess Nisa. So what exactly am I getting at? As I previously mentioned, we got a road ahead. There's a ton to unpack. We'll be doing this probably across several different videos. But one of the things that we were told is that Princess Nisa, I don't believe it's pronounced Kneesa, by the way, is coming to the game, and she's obviously going to be an Ewok lifter. For those of you who are unaware of who she is or where she's from, the place that I know her from the most is actually the Ewok cartoon that I believe came out during the 80s that doesn't really have a lot of pertinent canon or lore information, but it's kind of a fun watch, and it's something that I binged quite a while ago. I believe she's also in the Ewok movie, but I have not seen that, so there is that. The developer does not really give us any insight as to what her kit will actually be doing, but he said he was very, excited to be able to work on her. And again, this is also, I appreciate the sentiment from the devs and stuff like that, but this is just completely useless information. Expect Nisa to raise Ewok's power level and lift their meta rankings. That's really not hard to do. Like, you take the worst faction, one of the worst factions in game, and give them a lifter. You would expect that it would lift their meta rankings. Anyways, that's neither really here nor there. But what I do want to talk a little bit about that and the fact that they're going to be rising up in the rankings. But another thing that I feel like needs to be addressed because we're at the end of it, and that is the death of bad characters in the game. So a little bit of a history lesson. Several years ago, when Squad Arena was the name of the game, when we still had crystals in there to be able to climb up within it, every 6 months or so, CG would come out with a brand new meta team that we would all want to get and get it to the highest relic levels possible. JMK was the last one in the old system. And ever since then, we've transitioned to all the crystals going out of Squad Arena, leaving it rather naked, by the way, and pushing them into Grand Arena Championships. We've seen this overall shift of not just you wanting to have one team fully maxed out and unlocked and everything, but CG's been pushing everyone to have every single character, every single faction, every single team in game pushed up so that you can have more value in using them in Grand Arena, where you're actually allowed to use all of your teams rather than just, one or two of them, depending on what your arena climb looks like. Right now, we're in the middle of 3v3 where the most teams are used. This is my match from today, where I'll actually be using, I think, a total of 30 teams. But anyways, what are we getting at here? Ever since they've started down that track, they've been giving a ton of lifters to a lot of the different factions in game. Captain Rex, we recently just got, who is going to be building up the Phoenix team. It's very nice for them. It's going to make them totally usable. We've got Seer coming in and bringing up several of her unaligned force user characters, of which I believe fit into like Resistance Ray as well, or Resistance. Scavenger Ray, as well as Fulcrum, being able to lift the two of them kind of out of the water. We got Marin, who was able to reinforce the Night Sisters, who really needed some help. I mean, even older than this, I believe this goes all the way back to when we got Starkiller and the Sith came in, and we got Talon, and she was able to kind of help Trey up, who probably didn't need it as much as everyone else. But even Tarful coming in now and helping out Clone Wars Chewbacca and Zalbar. This has just been a process that CG has been really driving home, especially considering they're just making up characters to make this happen. Sortie was an invention so that our light side droids could actually have a home. So we're finally at this point where the concept of bad or just useless characters is almost gone. It's really hard to go into the game and try to find a character and be like, that one's just not good. You can't use it anywhere. I believe there still is a hierarchy of our rankings of, specifically showing characters that are good across 4 or 5 game modes rather than just one. So those videos are still pretty relevant. But at the same time, I'm a little bit curious as to what the future of the game is going to look like from now on. Are they going to keep releasing these lifter characters up until the point that Lobot and Ugnaught are going to have an actual place, or are they going to have to start working on brand new teams? Or are we just going to get into this lifter cycle of, for now until the end of eternity, every single faction is going to get one character that's going to just constantly have them going on kind of this hamster wheel of going into the meta, out of the meta, into the meta, out of the meta, which I thought that was kind of what Datacrons were supposed to do. But anyways, I've kind of compiled this list here of what I am just assuming are the last characters that they can really work on. one of the teams that I think in particular could really still use a lifter and isn't quite at the end, and they can decide whether or not they want this to be true, because there are actually arguments for how these characters are kind of good. And it's essentially the Jedi Council right now, at least certain members of the Jedi Council, are still pretty garbage. Kit Fisto has no place in game other than like the one mission where he's needed to R5. That's not necessary at all, by the way. You can totally get 3 stars without anyone in your guild doing that. Jedi Guardian, really completely useless. Eth Koth, not doing a single thing. I'm a Gundai, really kind of surprised why we even have him in game. Like his whole existence is one big pun. He appeared in one episode of the Clone Wars where he was gonna die. So that's kind of fun. And then Jedi Consular, we've actually ragged on him quite a bit recently because he has a ship, but both him and the ship are pretty lackluster. So we can still use the lifter here. I guess you could make the argument that Qui-Gon Jinn was technically their lifter, but the reality is most of the time you're able to use at a bare minimum Jedi Anakin to help lift this team up. And then even then, there's a ton of characters that are all better than this. And I guess they can also have other homes like Chakti, awkwardly enough, even Luminara, Ayla, Ahsoka, pretty much any GR Jedi that aren't these 5 characters already being used. And then I guess the only other excusable place for them is under a Jedi Knight Cal team if you're in territory battles. But even then, like, do you really need to not use all of these? Can you not use all of these in 2 or 3 or 4 Jedi teams? Do you have to dip this low? So this is one team that I think could really still use some help, are these kind of bottom line Jedi characters. And I don't know if they'll need to make a whole like Jedi Council tag, or if they'll be like every single Jedi that has green or brown eyes gets this lift, because the issue here is it's going to be hard to get these guys out of the dirt without making our good Jedi like Mace or Cam or Grandmaster Yoda or JMK even better. So that's going to be rather challenging, but it's still something that's up for grabs. This is one I'm curious as to what people think if we even need to lift these characters out of the dirt. Ugnaught, Coruscant Underworld Police, well, I guess he can already solo Galactic Legends, or at least so I'm told. And then IG-86, Lobot, like they have, I mean, they're really just not important characters at all when it comes to the lore or any type of faction or team. Like, I guess you can make the excuse that Lobot can be thrown into any number of Rebel teams, or Cup can be thrown into any number of GR teams. Farm Boy Luke, I guess. I'm really not sure what Ugnaught does, actually. Oh, yeah, he has like 1 tag. It's probably the lowest tags in the entire game. I do not know what Ugnaught does. Anyways, so yeah, these I don't know if they want to go around and actually fix these, or they're just going to remain forever bad characters. But again, it seems like CG's on a mission to get rid of that concept entirely. And then the last thing, I'll be curious to see what they do are with the leftovers. So all of these characters here, each one of their factions has essentially gotten reinforced recently, whether it be the Ewoks, Night Sisters, or Rebels, or you could probably make the excuse that Phoenix can fit in here too, because Rex is going to help 4 of them. 2 or 3 of them might sit out, and I don't really feel like using Kanan or Ezra on a Jedi team. Well, I guess you can. But regardless, there are always going to be a few of these, and really, the more lifters that they put into the game, the more this list is going to grow, because if we even look at the example of Ewoks, right now there are 5 good Ewoks, they're the ones that are in gold over here. If Nisa is going to be joining this crew, then one of them is going to have to be leaving. Like, is Logray just going to suddenly get the bench? Is she going to be a much better reviver than Ewok Elder? It's hard to say. Well, really hard to say until we get the kit. But yeah, I thought this was worth mentioning, that essentially, whatever you want to go after, whatever character you see out there that you think is really fun, or you have an affinity with, or you really liked in the movies, or you really liked in the TV show, or you felt a special bond with, you can really just have the freedom to go after it, knowing that it will provide some type of value, assuming it's not one of like the characters we just listed. But all these guys have one place they have a place in one area or another, if not multiple. I know there's all Galactic Legends are good in pretty much every single game mode, except maybe arguably Fleet, but even then, I think each one gives you their own fleet. But that is going to be it for today. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about this trend, and really, what do we think Siege is going to do from here? What are they going to do when they run out of characters or factions to lift up? Because it seems like we're pretty much there. But until the next time, thanks for watching, and stay awesome.